This is Development Now, Dev Now podcast. I wanted to say episode 13. We're going to say this episode 2, season 2, episode 1. Since we already had 12 episodes, you can check out the back episodes. We're big, we're back, we are better. And Development Now, what we do is we showcase the success stories of development organizations. My name is Bumi, popularly known as Mr. Speaker. Some call me Mr. Development. I'm happy. My children coming from heaven, they are happy. Ugona is happy. Our guest is happy. The guys behind the camera who you never see, who if you saw them on the road, they are happy. Everybody's happy. Stay locked.
Well, welcome to Development Now, the podcast where we celebrate people, projects that are shaping development in Africa and Nigeria. So this is episode 1 of season 2. I can't believe that we have made it this far, but congratulations to us. For me, I think we should give ourselves a round of applause, right? We'll put 12 episodes and then some. Okay?
Yeah.
So we're going to have a great show today. Stay tuned, stay locked in. Don't go away.
All right, as always, we have a great guest. They're doing impactful work, and that's why we're here. No impactful work, no dev down. That's why we won't sit here. We have seated the CEO, Public and Private Development Center, Lucy James Abagi.
Thank you so much. It's good to be here.
Good to have you here.
Yeah.
Welcome to Dev Now. Without much further ado, if you go on PPDCs, so when we say PPDC, you know we're saying Public and Private Development Center, okay? When you go on their website, BAS, and you say about PPDC, that's what I want to read out for you. Then she will now tell you what is not on the websites that you need to know, right? So, Public and Private Development Center, PPDC, is a non-governmental organization and social enterprise driven by the desire to have a more transparent and accountable government, as well as citizens empowered to actively participate in governance processes. Their programs are designed to promote values and initiatives which drive institutional, behavioral, and systemic change on a large scale and in a way that will benefit society and its development. So let's get straight into it. We have the Chief Executive Officer here, and let's be reeling our questions in her direction. Yeah. Now, so tell us more about PPDC and in governance, what role PPDC plays, and of course, how you go about it in practicalities, like we say, show workings.
All right, people. So it's good to be here. I think the first thing we should know about PPDC is that PPDC is 22 years.
22 years old. Wow.
A 22-year-old
So meaning
man.
you were founded in 2003?
2003. Yes.
Wow.
Be quiet.
Yes.
Okay.
PPDC is a Gen Z.
And PPDC started in Aba. And the founder is Chibuzo Ekweko. And I'm the 5th CEO.
5th.
PPDC. And it started just like a normal campaign, you know, of young people that were tired of what was happening. We're tired that we were not carried along in development. We didn't understand what was happening at the back end of government.
Yeah.
So young people just gathered and they said, okay, what should we do better? And then they felt that citizens actually held the power, you know, and held the opportunity to you know, fine-tune democracy, to fine-tune development, and achieve a more inclusive governance process. So from what just started as a normal campaign, it moved into a full-blown organization, and PPDC was formed. And here we are today. But one key thing that stands out is that our programs has remained the same over the years, which, of course, looking at how citizens can be more included in governance processes. And then from those campaigns, you know, most people thought that we started with procurement governance, but it was just a major campaign, you know, gathering citizens from different localities to be part of the process. It was just about citizens' engagement and participation. But of course, our founders then now realized that citizens cannot take action without governments, you know, playing a part in governance, in the sense that we needed to understand more what government was doing. And so we looked at what is the actual root cause of corruption? Where does corruption actually start? You know, when you go, most people look at the budget and feel that it's at the budget level. No, the budget is government's listing, for instance, of what their priorities would be for that year.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that the government would implement everything on the budget. You understand?
Okay.
And so when the budget is passed, it becomes a law.
Yeah.
What then happens is that government now begins to fund the budget from their revenues.
Yeah.
So every revenue that comes in, government will now prioritize what they will spend that revenue on based on the budget.
Okay.
You understand?
Yeah.
Now, after that has happened, the government knows their priority and government wants to implement projects. You now look at capital expenditures, which of course goes back to the citizens. That is where your tax money moves in. You understand? So, the procurement process now became a more detailed need for our funders to look deeply into as to how government monies were being spent, because 99.9% of corruption happens at the procurement phase. Now, the procurement phase is that, yes, like I said, government is ready to fund the projects. Now they've opened the bid for contractors to bid.
Yeah.
And when contractors bid, what happens? There's a selection process. So is at that selection process, how is it being done, that PPDC comes in and begins to ask, how was this contract awarded? What was the process of bidding, selection, award, monitoring of implementation of this project? And so we came up with a procurement governance project that looked at the entirety of procurement from the bidding to the implementation.
Yeah.
So from bidding, contracting, implementation. And of course, our funders lean more on what we call the open contracting database system that allows government to openly declare and openly make available documents, informations, tender that this contract has been awarded to this particular contractor.
Okay.
So the OCDS portal allows government to be able to showcase their contracting processes to the citizens to take action. So you find that linkage where we have citizens being aware and then government making this information accessible to the citizens. Now, at some point, we understood that there were a lot of, secrecy in government, and government refused to make budgets open, not to even talk about procurement documents.
Yeah.
And so we thought more of how do we force government to make this information open. And I'm glad to say that PPDC were amongst the CSOs that led the campaign for the FY, the passage of the FY about 14 years ago.
That's Freedom of Information.
Freedom Commission Act. And that would legally allow citizens to be able to question government as to where our money is coming from and what is it being spent on and how is it being spent. Those are the three circles. Where our money comes from, where it's going to, and how it's being spent. You understand? So we moved, and with a series of campaigns, the FY Act was passed. And at that point, as civil society, we felt like we should celebrate. But then it became a problem because most MDAs were like, come on, we are not signed up to the FY Act. It doesn't apply to us. It applies only to federal ministries. So if you go till now to the state ministries, you still hear them say it's not applicable until the Supreme Court judgment that says that the FY applies to everyone.
Everybody.
You understand? So even after 14 years of the FY, you still see those backlashes, pushbacks from government agencies, which would show that, look, we still have a lot of work to do. So when the FY Act now came, it gave us a more platform and instrument that we could use to hold them accountable and to take them to court. And so PPDC began to partner with other CSOs on how we are going to be able to use the FY to legally request that these MDAs, make this information accessible. And so we started going to the court. I'm just taking you to the journey as to how unique our program is and their linkages. So we started going to court, pushing back and all whatnot to see how we can, use the law to push the government to give us information.
Okay.
Because the FY actually says you should publicly make your information accessible, contract information accessible either on your website or you publish it in, any newspaper of your choice.
Yeah.
So we are not supposed to even do what we're doing if the FY is being followed accordingly. So at some point, when our founders found out that, look, the powers that, that we need is being wielded at the judiciary. Because we believe that nothing will change if the judiciary doesn't work.
Yeah.
If we don't get the judges, if we don't enhance their capacity, they won't get to work. The same thing happened with the PG program, that's the procurement governance. We had to do a lot of work around educating MDAs, training them to be able to optimize their processes, automate their processes. Because if you must make your information accessible, you must be computer literate at least. You must be able to use the computer. You must be able to push out this. You must be technically able to make this information available to the public in a readable format. Don't forget that the budget procurement document are very bulky documents.
Yeah.
So it has to be
simplified.
Yeah.
That is what the OCDS portal helps you to do. That citizens can easily go there and be able to understand without having to go and open pages. And so we felt that beyond the judiciary, the power still also is in the citizens, and how better the citizens would be able to wield their power, understand how to wield their power was important to us. And so we created 2 other programs that has to do with inclusive digital governance, and then also the Own Vida brand. The Own Vida brand was us being able to tell the stories of our findings on the field, of our findings when we were tracking government project on the field, and turn it into short movies where we allow citizens to be able to better understand and expose corruption issues. And then the internet component of it was us trying to educate the public and say, okay, the internet allows you access to be able to hold your government accountable. Now, how do you do it safely so that you're not being arrested? So it was a platform for us to ensure online safety for young people to be able to interact in government. Then the last programming, I'm trying to rush so that you don't get mixed up. Yeah. Now, the last programming is the most beautiful part of our work, because beyond us leading campaigns, beyond us tracking, monitoring the projects that government have paid for or have awarded, we now looked at, like I mentioned earlier, the judiciary. Now, if you go to a court now, and you're sitting in the court, you have a case before the judge, you will notice that more than 80% of judges in Nigeria and Africa still write with their pen. And so you will hear a judge say, "Madam, wait, I write." Now, there's a court we digitize in Nepal. That court sits on cases that is equivalent to Ekiti State. That's the number of
one court
in
Abuja. Now, if you don't live in Abuja or in Nigeria, Abuja is the city. I mean, is the capital city.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apo is one of the metropolis in the capital city. So what our guest is trying to make us understand is the cases that come to just that court.
Just one court.
There was a day she actually told me about this particular court and the volume of what comes in there.
And it's not digitized.
It's equivalent
so everything
to what
is
comes
manual.
to one of the states in Nigeria called Ekiti. Yes, back to you.
And that is why you will find that it will take the government to court asking for information, and it will take you 1 year for that case to be dragged in the court because of the process, the manner. Some of the court, the Ministry of Justice don't even have automated system of handling their evidence records. So you go there, you will be sent to a session, the evidence or record session, and then you see files. And you see files worn out. You will not stand and ask yourself, which year
would you get to this?
I will find this thing, make I go see my file. So you see people thrown into prisons have not appeared before a judge. These are some of the issues.
Wow.
Or some of them thrown into prisons, and it will take the judge more than 2 years
to get to the case,
to give hearing. To convict that inmate. So the person would have spent the number of years would have even spent for their crime before the judge has been able to
even
be heard. You understand? So these are the uniqueness of our projects and how they all interlink across board. So from procurement to enabling citizens to use internet to hold their government accountable, also providing them the support to be able to manually also track on the field and be able to go to those project sites from the information we provide from them from the procurement documents, simplify it for them to take action at their community level, then use internet and digital tools to be able to chunk out this information and then simplify our findings, through films and short movies
Yeah.
that citizens and government
Can relate.
partners can also relate, and then being able to provide support at the judiciary so that if we need to go to the courts,
There's a seamless process.
it's a seamless process.
Well, so there's a lot that you have said. So
A
I'm
lot.
trying to take it all in. But there's one thing that I have keyed into in this conversation, and it's about the power of citizens, right? However, in today's world, especially if you go on social media, the ongoing conversation is that the average Nigerian is powerless against the government. So for a lot of people, they feel like we can protest, we can try to hold the government accountable. But some people believe that the government is way too powerful for the ordinary Nigerian citizens, no matter how much we banned, right? Whether we banned in small numbers or in large numbers, many people feel that no matter what, we cannot hold the government accountable. So how does PPDC see this, and what policies or what ways have you tried to intervene, especially with the mind of citizens, right? Because it feels like the average Nigerian's mind is broken when it comes to keeping the government accountable. Nobody wants to talk about it anymore. Nobody wants to hit the streets anymore.
Yeah.
Most people have given up when it comes to holding the government accountable. If you speak to the average person of Nigeria and say, oh, even for example, when we think about things like the EFCC, oh, they've arrested this ex-governor, or rather they've called this ex-governor for questioning, or they've called this ex-minister for questioning. It just feels like, it's a moment of happiness for the average Nigerian, but just for a few seconds, right? And then it feels like nothing else happens. So the average Nigerian has grown to understand or to believe that there's no such thing as holding the government accountable. So
I share in that belief, but then I also believe in the power of evidence. And that is why the government doesn't want information, as the right information in the hands of the citizens is enough to change the paradigm. Now, if you follow social media trend, and I like to discuss this very broadly, you will understand that government don't respond to rants. We can be ranting, but the minute there is a substantial evidence to show, there's data to show, you will get change. You will get change. And that is why, corruption thrives in secrecy.
I like that word.
Yeah.
Corruption thrives in secrecy.
Is secrecy. Where you're not, for instance, if you have a baby girl and you say, don't touch this thing, and you know that this thing contains information about the child, you will protect it so much that the child would never come close to
Never have
knowing
access to it.
what is in this cup. Because you know that the minute this child knows what is in this cup, you've set freedom for the child. And that is what is happening in our politics, in Nigerian politics, and generally in Africa. Now, because this information we are not supposed to beg for it.
It's supposed to be readily available.
I'm a citizen, and I know that government has released 150 million, for instance, which of course in most times is more than that, to my community to construct a school, and I know who the contractor is. Are we together?
Yeah.
And I know the timeline of that project, and I have access to the bill of quantity for that project. I will take action. I don't know if you understand.
Yeah.
I will take action. But these informations are not, even to today, that we've made a lot of progress in budget. You still find that you don't have concrete procurement data. Thank God for the current DG of DPP now that is trying to move things around. PPDC provided that support for them to be able to build their portal. That's Nukopu portal, where you can go and see contract of government over time to different ministries, to different agencies. But tell me, how many Nigerians have access to internet?
First question you even ask, how many Nigerians even know that exists?
That exists. You understand? So you will go to a community and you are electing a leader. You don't know nothing about that leader. But the person is running for election. And he has the money to go through the different circles that he needs to go through to get his name on the table. And that's how politics is run in Nigeria. The people don't need to know you. You just need to have money. You need to be able to please the political class or the key makers to be able to get your name up on the table and the mouth of everyone. Because it's the people that the political class signs that becomes the leader. It's not the people that even elect the leaders. And that is why we have issues. But if you're able to get information to every Nigerian, and that is why I used to like your show, Mr. Speaker, because across different tribes, people can be able to understand what is happening in politics.
Yeah.
If you're able to use the right medium to get to people, be it radio, most Nigerians still listen to radio more than television. If you're able to get to people with newspapers in local languages, simplifying information about governance, what project has been earmarked, has been released, has been awarded for their communities, educate them on how to take action. We are rich in information, but then not everybody has that access to information. We have about over 200 million people. How do we inform 200 million people of their rights?
Well, okay, I want to ask another question, right? And I love, you've answered beautifully, but there's also, there's one thing about releasing information, right? But there's another thing to get people to care. I feel like a lot of Nigerians, first of all, our list of priorities has dampened over time. Yeah. So for a lot of people who are on social media, who probably have access to this kind of information, are probably not even interested in it. So is PPDC working on any projects or any projects in order to get people to want to find out this kind of information? Because information might be there, access can be there, but without interest, we are dead on arrival.
I agree with you. And why do I agree with you? Is the fact that PPDC alone cannot do it. Well, like I mentioned, we are over 200 million. No matter the money that is dumped for us by donors, we can't reach every Nigerian.
Yeah.
That's the truth. And there are a lot of issues. It's not just in education. It's not just in health. It's not in water. Now we have electricity issues every year. Now they have come to say this band A, band B. Some people on band
abandoned.
See like
And bandits.
Abandoned.
Yeah. I'm not seeing like so.
In fact,
which
some
issue,
of the areas where they will say is band A are not even seeing the
which
power.
issue are we going to handle? And then don't forget that politics has been poverty has been politicized. That is the truth. People are hungry. Food stuff has gone up. People are looking for money to pay rent. Rent has gone. The city of Abuja like this now, you can't find any rent at 500,000 in Dawaki. How many Nigerians can afford 500,000 that will not care about which government projects? How many Nigerians can afford water? Everybody now has borehole. Those years we used to have pipe-borne water that you can easily afford, but now some communities can't even access water. So the issues are enormous. In as much as a lot of organizations like Budget, our partners, Citizens Gaval, ICI, I know they've been here on this show, are doing a lot of work. We still have a lot of more work to do. There are places that we call hard to reach communities. That one, you don't use Okada. It's like sometimes you have to cross a river to go and educate citizens of their rights. So it's a lot of work. And I want to say that the government understands, politicians understand that they need the masses, and they also know how to keep the masses down. They know how to wield the power. So the only thing we keep doing is to keep pushing. And I can also agree with you in the sense that the last election sent a lot of us back home. Because beyond INEC releasing results using their, what's it called? IREF.
Yeah.
If you watch the trend of the elections, you will see that this last election carried more momentum than every other previous election. Why? Because people were in their polling unit and waiting for days, even when materials did not arrive. So there was interest. People wanted change. Don't also forget NSAS. Don't forget the last N bad governance.
Yeah.
People want change. But of course, we do not have the power, which is what information. Government will not move with us protesting. Truth. They just blind us with information. If we have access to information, data transferred to as many citizens in readable formats in their own local languages to keep them informed. Remember that knowledge is power.
Yeah.
That is when we are empowered to take action. If you're able to know that for this number of leaders or numbers of what are they called, politicians that are coming out, for election, this is what this one has done. This is what this one has done. This is what this one has done. This is what this one plans to do. And we are the ones to craft the action that we expect them to take. In 4 years, things will change. But for now, the powers are still within the corridors of the politicians and the kingmakers. So it's a lot of work to be done.
So far with your programs, I mean, you've talked about the parts you're playing with the judiciary, the parts you're playing with the internet and digital tools and all of that. Now, I want you to let's blow your horn a bit. The space to cover is massive, enormous, and I like the fact that yours, just like a couple of other organizations that we've had the privilege of having on this podcast, have said, "Oh, we collaborated with such and such CSO, we collaborated with such and such NGO. We all came together and did this," knowing that if you work in silos, you won't get anything done. But I mean, what are some of the success stories that you're proud of? You know, in terms of informing citizens, making sure that they are better aware. So you could look at it from that angle, or maybe the angle of judiciary is where you want to focus on, but the one you are most proud of, because the truth is, from the way you've spoken, I mean, you're Nigerian, there are days that you wake up and you're like, can this problem ever come to an end? Yeah. So we've talked about that.
That's the reality.
Why not? Let's talk a bit about what PPDC has done, the success stories that you're excited about in the areas where you work.
Like I said from the beginning, our success lies with the citizens. Because don't forget that CSOs, NGOs, we are donor funded. And so our fundings will definitely come to an end. We might not be able to reach more people for a longer time. But one story I want to share is the story of one of our campaigns and how citizens hold that power. Now, there was a project, a UBEC project, that we were monitoring. And we got to the site, funny enough, to monitor that project. In fact, we didn't even get to tell you what the citizens that we train, that we monitoring the project and giving us feedback. And they gave us a very funny call. And that call was that, "Oh, madam, me na come, see this contractor, the wood where come off for a year. And that same wood, it carry go another school. You know, UBEC does massive projects
for schools.
So the contractor was awarded multiple projects. So he came to that community, removed the dilapidated roof, the woods, you know, and then took those same one to another school that he was to install there. So the ones that were already worn out in the school, he took them there. But the community raised alarm. You understand?
Yeah.
They raised alarm and said, "This is what has happened." And we told them, "Write to UBEC." We gave them samples of the letter. "Write to UBEC." They wrote to UBEC, and UBEC took action. And that contractor, the contract was withdrawn from him. And those are the kind of stories that we like to share, especially as it comes to procurement government. Don't forget that, like I mentioned, they are hard to reach communities. But we have trained the communities, we've trained citizens, we've trained, you know, community leaders, young youth leaders, women leaders, market women, to be able to do the work that we do, whether we are there or not.
Yeah.
So you cannot just travel in most of the regions that we've worked. You cannot just travel, or you cannot just go and implement a project without having to pass through the community governance structure. You must have gone to the community and say, "Oh, I've been awarded a contract. This is my timeline for this project. This is what I'm supposed to do. This is the bill of quantity." And you must mount a signpost so that the citizens are aware. You must also carry citizens along in implementation. They will track the project themselves. They will be sending us pictures right from Abuja, sending us pictures also our state offices. This is the progress of these projects. And that is the power of the people and what we seek to achieve. But for our access to justice project, the results are massive. Quickly. Now, if you go to, we are currently in 6 states. We're in Kaduna on that project. We're in Plateau. We are in Adamawa. We're in the FCT. We're in Iboyin and Oyo. We are open to extend to Ondo and Edo. If you go to 33 courts that we've installed speech-to-text facility, 33 courts, speech-to-text facility, you see that the judges have long dropped their pens. So, for instance, in the last 7 months, they've been able to use our system to hear about 1,200 cases.
So when you say speech to text, just the way the AI thing works.
Yes. So the judges are no longer writing. Instead of them taking note of what the prosecutor and the complainant is saying, what the defendant is saying, the system just records the whole court proceedings for that day. instantly, in less than 4 minutes, Judic AI will produce the transcript. You understand? So it's removing the bureaucracy, the backlog of cases, reducing the time at which justice is served. You understand? And these systems are used by the clerks that were not initially computer literate.
Yeah.
So we train them to be able to use the system, be able to interface with the system, and report cases. Now, in the state that we are now, we've also given the Ministry of Justice, what we call case scheduling and notification. That is to say, sometimes if you go to court, they say the judge is not sitting.
Yeah.
So as a lawyer, you'll be frustrated. Or as someone that has a case in the court, you'll be frustrated. But now you will get automatic notification if that case is going to be heard. And then you can use that. The judge can easily use that system to know which judge is handling what is the pace at which that case is going. Because you can see a justice on a case like I mentioned, 2 years and nothing has moved. And someone is in prison for this case. Or a complainant will dump somebody in prison and will never appear in court. So that will allow the chief judge or the attorney general to be able to track what is happening across every state.
So, sorry to take the wind of you. Who gets access? Can you just explain further on how this notification system works?
So at the Ministry of Justice, now the CJ is the one that assigns cases to the judge.
Yeah.
To the judges.
Yes.
So our case management system is built in a way that from the filing of the case, it's automatic. So we are trying to eliminate paper work, evidence missing, and all whatnot. So when these cases are being assigned, the assigning magistrate or assigning judge will be able to allocate these cases according to how they come in. Don't forget that police are arresting people every day.
Sure.
Other prosecuting agencies are arresting people every day. And on NCOS portal, we have over 80,000 inmates across our prisons. And most of our prisons are already congested. Like the one we went to yesterday in Kuje. Kuje should only hold about 560, but currently ours is about 8,000, over 8,000 inmates in that custodial center. You understand? So what we now do, what that enables us to do is that the judge is able to easily assign the number of cases that comes from the police. Are we together?
Yeah.
To different courts and to different magistrates. You understand? And then track. It's able from that system to also monitor how long
the cases have
stayed with the judges. What has been the status? Because that different procedures, hearings, and that evidence and all what is able to track effectively. And then at the end of it, it's able to report who is working and who is not working. Do you know? Who is moving and who is not moving? Which judge is on leave and all whatnot. It's able to track. It doesn't need to travel across board or files of paper being submitted to his desk any longer. So it simplifies the system entirely. Now, the judge also enjoys a smooth process. Why? Beyond just writing, when they're writing, they imagine after he has started on maybe 5 cases, the clerk or the administrator takes back those papers he has written and goes to type.
Yeah.
When they finish typing, you will have to take it back to him to edit, proofread. Time is going, to edit, proofread.
Somebody is in detention.
Somebody's in detention, and that's daily. So he's sitting on 5 cases per day, and they have to do all that processes. So it will take like 4 months for you that appeared in court today to appear again because your proceedings is not proofread, approved, ready for the next sitting. Are we together?
Yeah.
That's what happens. So now the clerks are able to just sit down on our system because we did not just provide Judic AI, we also provided hardware components for all the judges that are benefiting from our project.
Yeah.
They're able to sit down and immediately start the system in records, and they're able to edit if they want to edit anything immediately. The judge can see it from his laptop. And you can instantly download it in less than 4 minutes if you want to download. So that you can settle there and say, give a date for next hearing, and you're sure that it's going to hold. The lawyer can have access to that proceedings.
And also go over it. So it's reducing the time from the normal 4 to 6 months for a judge to sit or to hear a case again and again and again to 4 minutes. And the judges are also living longer because they don't forget that human beings. They don't have to sit over how many cases. Yeah. One of them said, Lucy, I have dropped my pen. These are people that have written
for years. So sometimes the campaigns we are shouting and saying, the judiciary
didn't
they
do
this, they did not.
You just don't know that
It
they're
is
not equipped.
not their fault. They are not equipped. So, like I said, Apo handling a case that is equivalent to a Kitty state. Imagine what that judge will look like. So he has to sit every day and be writing for 30 years, for 10 years. Why would we have more people in prison? And then there are also issues around corrections, monitoring the people that are coming. So we're also working with corrections. So, we have upgraded what they call SIMS. They are also their case management system that allows them to know how many people are in corrections, how long have they been there, where's their case, which, the numbers of people per time at the correction level. And we're also providing them hardware component to support that software for them. And why? My sister, if you go to prison, you will know that we as Nigerians, we are wicked, or human beings are wicked. I went to Kefi for the bail delivery that the CG of SCT did a few days ago. And you know what? Somebody was thrown into prison because she was accused of stealing bedsheets.
Wow.
There's another that was thrown for because of power bank. And the person spent 7 months without appearing before a judge.
Wow.
So there are people that, if they want to punish you, they will just ensure that police arrest you. When police arrest you, ensure that you're thrown into prison and you will never appear before a judge because they will not come back. But our system would allow us to track who came in, what was the case, has the person been arraigned in court. You understand? How long has the person been there? We went to Kuje and someone has been in the prison for 11 years and has only gone to court twice.
In 11 years.
So what else do you think will happen? What kind of change would happen if our institutions are not equipped to deliver the services that we humans or we the people deserve? So across board, even in procurement, you will still find the same process. Some MDAs do not have hardware components. They don't have computers. Their procurement officers don't know what computer is.
But
so how do you want them to put procurement
budget for
documents
computers
online?
every other year? I mean, we see those things.
My brother, that's
what I'm saying. Isn't aren't there provisions in the budget, right, over the years?
Yeah, that's what I'm also asking.
You're saying budget. Now, remember that we've had issues around the budget. Like I mentioned before, it's government priority. The funds may or may not be released. Now, when the funds are released, this money would have been contracted to people that will not deliver on the project and nobody's holding them accountable. So a contract is awarded to somebody 150 million and the person didn't implement. And it's not.
And there are no consequences for that person.
No consequences. Nobody's talking about it. That's why I say corruption thrives in secrecy.
So once upon a time, you bought bad fuel in
But
this country. What
but if we are aware that this person has been awarded the contract, we will know who to drag. It is not even government at this point. We will drag the contractor. So that's why we are blaming government. Say, lease the contractors to us. Let us know. If you know that your process is transparent, let the citizens know that it is transparent by you doing what? And listing these contractors on your website. Let us have access to this information to say that, okay, Ministry of Education has awarded a contract to this and this and this company. What this amount in this state for this long. And the citizens can use that to look for these people and ensure they are held accountable. And the minute you begin to drag contractor, they will do the work. But if you don't know who the contractor is, you don't know how much was released, you don't know how he was even awarded the contract, that is where the problem is. It's not the budget. See, corruption doesn't start from the budget. Corruption starts from procurement. Budget is passed as a dormant this thing. You know, this is that we were dragging now, so they are doing this. If those documents are there, I mean, if no matter the duplication of contracts on the budget, the monies can only be released at the procurement stage. Are we together? Yeah. The monies can only be released at it cannot be released at the budget stage. The budget can only be passed into law, but the procurement is now, the money has come. Oh yeah, let us go and do this work. Yeah. That is when we will now know whether it is duplicated, because you will see NDC will enlist this project this year. Next year, they will enlist it again. Next year, they will enlist again. But if we have access to know who they awarded that contract to, we will be able to confirm if it's duplicate or not. I don't know if you understand.
Wow.
But at the budget, it's just a document. The budget is a document.
Yeah, anybody can have a budget.
Anybody can have a budget.
Like I have a budget for tomorrow.
Yes. Just like you're going to market to buy food and you have a budget of 1 million to spend. That doesn't mean that when you get to market, it's 1 million you spend. Abi?
Ugo spends 1 million.
I'm just saying that. So you see the way our work is so complicated. And then the other beautiful part of it, let's just make it easy so that Nigerians don't feel like there's plenty problem. How do we move from here? Yeah. you can be hearing me and you are scared. Say,
Yeah, but of course, I mean, having mentioned what you've done in the judiciary, it's a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
You've also talked about.
But that's a scratch. Let me tell you why it's a scratch.
Yeah.
I don't want to scare people, but the problem is, man, it's a scratch. Why? The work we've done is less than 3% of the work to be done in the judiciary.
Oh.
More than 3%. We have over 1,000 courts, in Nigeria. So our mission is to ensure that all the courts are digitized. And beyond donor funds, we want the state to take ownership because that's where the problem is again. Because the donor fundings will come back, will be done, will be exhausted, or the project will come to an end.
Yeah.
And then you will go back there after 3 years, those systems are shut down.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to. How do you maintain sustainability?
Thank you.
With these.
So it's
projects?
important that, let me even go back to this Trump administration has really caused our CSO partners to look intensely into the work that we do and craft the work to self-sustain itself.
Yeah, it's very important.
It's very important to self-sustain itself. Now, PPDC is an NGO. It cannot do business. Even if we do business, we cannot share profits. You understand? So one of the things that we thought quickly about is we need to have subsidiaries that can handle some components of our work to push government to invest money. So Judic AI is not housed under PPDC. It's housed under a subsidiary, Devon Technologies. So with that, Devon is interfacing with state agencies and say, put this thing in your budget. Are we together? PPDC is pushing and saying, this is donor fund. Donald Trump has come and crashed foreign aid by over 70-something%. All agencies around the world are affected, even the UN.
Yeah.
And if you observe, even the UK has cut down their budget.
Sure.
More than 5 countries have cut down their budget because most of them are funded by US. You understand? And so we go to government. Now, what about this government? Look, you have problem in procurement. These are things to do, and these are things to do. We need to build your internal capacity to be able to run without. Because if you look at our budget, it's heavily funded by either loan or donor fund.
Yeah.
I don't even understand. But government needs to be intentional about setting aside resources to automate their process. The one that is paining me now is that the world is moving. And most MDAs in Nigeria, most citizens and staff in Nigeria don't know how to use computer. So you see in different agencies that gap. And we are supposed to compete with global markets. How do we compete now? They were talking about China and Trump, fighting. Did you see any African countries to go and join their mouth? They said they're going to increase tariff. You won't see any because we are not yet there.
We don't get mouths for that.
We don't get mouth. There's a lot of gap in development. But it has to start with government prioritizing what we call sustainable development. So we are not just implementing. Are we looking at sustainability? What are the hardwares? Can Nigerians produce hardwares? Yes, I believe Nigerians can produce our own laptops. I believe. I'm happy that Tinubu is talking about local content.
Yeah, Nigeria first.
Can Nigerians do that? I believe, because all the hardware you're seeing here are not being produced, it's coming from either China or the US. Can government, at least for now, since we have not started production, put that money, 100 million, to digitize your courts, 100 million to automate your procurement, get your procurement staff trained, have technical capacity in-house. We can't build software that is managed by companies.
Yeah.
We need to train our own government agencies on how to code. More than 80% of the software we have developed for government is from development partners and cannot be sustained after the funding has elapsed. Or it's from private entities that are there for investment to get their money and move on. So you see, when the government changes and there are different priorities, those systems
fail.
They crash.
So there's a lot of problem. But we hope that Nigerians, don't be afraid. The problem can be solved.
I mean,
Bona, don't be afraid.
with people like you out there, doing the Lord's work, I think, like you said, you don't want us to be afraid, although there's a lot of work to be done. But the most important thing is that we get started. And that's what platforms like this exist for. And that's what organizations like yours, exist for. So, I mean, we're so proud of the work that
Whole lot.
PPDC, has been doing over 22
years.
Yeah, so in over 22 years now, as we're wrapping up, do you believe what can you say about the progress? So from the first, when your organization was birthed in 2003 till now 2025, that's 22 years. Do you believe that we've made significant progress since then?
Yeah.
Do you have hope for Nigeria, or has your hope diminished?
No. If I did have hope for Nigeria, I would not be. I will follow and Japan. There's no close road. So now, one of the industry that we're so proud of is the movie industry, the creative industry. I'm too sure that that Nigeria is almost leading when it comes to the creative industry.
Yes.
And PPDC has invested a lot. The likes of Stan Eze, the likes of what's his name? I've forgotten his name now. Most of these key profiled Nollywood stars came from Movida. They were trained on via our own master classes more than 12 years ago. We provided a platform for them to show their talent, and today they are leading. And you can see that the creative industry is doing so well that when you cannot talk about songs that you will not hear Afrobeats. You will not hear them. So it's providing job. At least it's providing job, that job created for Nigerians, because the problem of unemployment is also an issue. So the creative industry is doing very, very, very well. Aside from the creative industry, my dear, there is work to be done across other agencies, because even in agriculture, we had hope. We felt that the agriculture will feed the nation, but now we can't feed the nation.
Nah.
Now the clashes, with herdsmen clashes, is bringing in security issues, terrorism, and all whatnot, sending farmers from their farm. People are leaving their houses and all whatnot, leaving their communities. They cannot farm. So you go to market, normal meat that you would have bought 10,000 is now almost 100,000. A cup of Gary is how much? When I came to Abuja those days, I used to buy a mudu of Gary for 100 naira. You can't try that now.
They play.
His son, they'll give you.
Can't try. That's like 10 years. You can't try that now.
Can't.
You understand? But we are also proud. What also gives us hope is when we look at the level of information. As when PPDC started, we hardly had civil society organizations that were doing this work. But we are proud to see that some of them that have started their organization, and they're also pushing.
Yeah.
So it's a collective effort. It's not just PPDC pushing for one end. Budget is pushing, code is pushing, ICR is pushing, OPM bars are pushing. Everybody is pushing from different ends. So you see, we are locked together to ensure that there is development. And the more we get to see more people adding their voice to the campaign, the more we know that access to information is becoming more achievable.
Okay.
You understand? It's becoming more achievable. So more communities have been aware, and that's why we are calling on the citizens. We are doing our campaigns and saying we want the citizens to join this.
Because you can't do it alone.
We can't do it alone. We want the citizens to join. When you go on Twitter, the rant around the NYC girl was also a success story for me, because I was like, oh, now young people can actually even use the internet to speak. We can be ranty, and the money was increased.
The JAMB issue is the latest.
The latest.
Yeah.
The money was increased. So there are a lot of success stories, and we know that when we are also monitoring from our end, because we do this analysis of Tinubu's administration, we see that Tinubu also is making some level of efforts to listen to the cry of Nigerians in whatever areas. When we rant, when noise is being made, 1, 2, 3 days, you see the release statements. If they don't even do anything, they will list it. But at least they're listening.
At least there's a response.
There's a response.
There's a response. So that gives us a cushioning effect that some of our content out there, some information that we're chunking there as campaigns, are actually getting the attention of the administration. But there is still more work to do. Why am I saying there's still more work as I wrap up with, before you ask me your final question? Why am I saying there's still more work to be done? We believe that government can work if the citizens are part of the government. And we also believe that, President Tinubu said they have been able to handle what is the IMF, the loan or the debt. We want to know the process that led to that.
Well, there's a lot of debate around that.
Let's know. Come on, don't just tell us and announce. How much did you clear? How was it done? If the citizens are aware that, look, we have saved Nigerians from this amount of loan, from doing this and doing this, I'm not sure anybody will be calling about the cost of fuel and petrol, the cost of food. We'll now have a broader understanding that, okay, this is what is going.
This is what our sacrifice is going.
What the sacrifice is
to. Like you were talking about before the show, you're talking about Apo Road.
Yeah.
You understand? Those are the kind of development we want to see, that citizens can be able to, even if we don't see the work, let us be able to access basic health care, basic education, water, very important. Let's be able to access those three things. At least life can continue after them.
Yeah.
And I like to say, I used to tell people that when you're talking about development, I feel that politicians don't actually understand that if we are not responding to the need of people, we are not responding to ourselves. Because if you feel you have money to send your children to the best school, you have money to afford healthcare, you have money to buy water, then you don't actually understand what development is. Because you're actually cheating yourself. I cannot be in a place of authority and I will now still worry about my children going to school miles away. How much peace will I have? I would rather use the opportunity and build the best school in my streets so that my children will be very close to me.
By.
I will have the best hospital so that you don't know if they are flying you or what will happen. True. How can I live my own life in the face of lights? Build the best hospital closer to you, closer to home. How would I be worried about buying water when you can make water to run in pipes? People can still access all overhead tanks if possible. I went to Kenya and there's a campaign around slums and they supply water to slum areas via overhead tanks, purified water. And the water they are purifying also is channeled to different places, so nothing is wasted. And it's the community that is running the water that they want paying. It's from the money they are paying for the water that they used to build school for girls, that they used to start what's it called, small scale business for women. They had to go and learn trading. Slum area, and they have that in more than 5 places. So you see, when they say sustainable development, it is possible. Create schools that you are proud your children can go. It's not the school that when you go you will see children on the ground. Create hospitals, make the system in the hospital be accessible to everybody, so that if anything happens to you, the hospital here can take care of you. See what happened in COVID, and COVID did not teach them a lesson.
Something funny happened to someone very popular and highly placed. He took ill, and then he said, "Oh, I'm flying to." They said, "Where can I get the best in such and such specialty?" They said, "Oh, go to South Africa." So went to South Africa. Funny story. Got to South Africa, paid the money, got to the hospital, booked, collected card, did everything. Sat there, was supposed to meet the doctor. Then he walked in, boom. Then he met a Nigerian there. He said, "Wait, so I paid for visa, paid for flight, paid for everything, came to South Africa just to meet another Nigerian."
Yeah.
And Nigeria was the best in that field.
Across the world, we are the best.
We really are.
I can actually boast of that. We are the best. So what is stopping us is that our people are not thinking well. And the truth is, the money that we are losing in contracts, these people that are stealing the money are not using the money to do anything. It's dumped somewhere. Truthfully. Because the system is well organized. You see, in Nigeria, you cannot steal money in Nigeria, nobody will know. So they cannot put the money in their accounts. All this, is it one treasury single what account? You cannot put money anyhow. The government can trace it. So these monies are not actually where anybody can know. So why are you dumping the money when you can use the money to better yourself? So I call it wickedness against yourself. So corruption for me is government being wicked against its own self, against yourself. You're cheating yourself from enjoying the goodness of life. How can I be a government person and I'm driving on the road? It's not possible now. I will make the road clean. so that I'm going smooth. So that's why I'm saying that it's important that government understand that, look, when citizens are calling for better governance, service delivery, it will first of all benefit you before it benefits people. Because your children will access it. Your family will access it. Distant family members, will you be able to pay for distant family members, all of them to travel abroad? You won't be able to. Will you be able to do that? It's not possible.
Yeah.
So it's better that we track where monies are coming from. It's better that government puts their eyes as to how these monies are judiciously used. Let's not put money. That's some issues I didn't raise today. Let's not put money in constructing a school that you come back after 2 years and that school is dilapidated. That's not sustainable. You can't say, hey, without construction, you go and commission. I saw a video of a man that went to commission pump solar water in this generation. And the man he was pressing it. He was pressing, the water refused to come out.
In Nigeria?
In Nigeria.
Okay.
Is it not the video? You see the video that trended about a project that the Casino government also went to commission and he did like this, boom, 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 and sand came out from the wall.
Oh dear.
When I saw that video trend, I was like, and the contractor is still working alive. These are the people that are supposed to be in prison and not somebody that stole power bank.
Power bank.
Wow. So of course there's still a lot of ground to cover, but again, we're excited that at every point there is hope. There are people on the field working, but of course, more importantly, the citizens also need to be informed and also put hands on deck. I mean, we've seen instances where citizens come together and we've seen the impact.
Yeah, there's such a mindset that needs to change within the average Nigerian for us to collectively make progress, right? Because there's something you said about the community that noticed that I think it was the UBEC situation. Yeah. And, the reason that was successful, why they were able to get to UBEC and have UBEC intervene in this matter, is that whoever it was or the number of people who discovered the problem, they have a collective mindset. Yeah. Because they could have easily taken a bribe from the guy who was responsible for the project and kept mum, and UBEC wouldn't do anything. So I think, again, corruption is something that is of the mindset again, and the average Nigerian needs to start thinking collectively. You said if the government if the government should fix things, the government will benefit before the average citizens. That means people in government have to start thinking collectively, because maybe they are not thinking collectively. They're thinking maybe me, my wife, my 3 children, and that's about it, right? So if we can begin to think collectively, I think there's a lot that we can change in Nigeria.
Okay, just as we wrap it up, so this particular segment, if you can relax, you can relax.
You can relax. You're no longer on the hot seat.
Let's make it cooler, man.
Let's make it cooler. This particular segment is
appreciation.
It's like appreciation for the good things you have been doing and the good speech you've been giving since.
Are you sure? It's the speaker, I'm not sure.
So it's rapid fire.
Okay.
Just like name implies. Of course, the clock is already ticking. So for every question, you just hit it very hard. One word, one statement, that kind of thing.
Okay, I'll try.
Are you ready?
Is there a price for it?
There's water.
We'll give you water.
Yes.
Okay, are you ready?
So,
if PPDC had a theme song, what would it be?
Opening Fix It.
Okay. One word to describe Nigeria's transparency progress or decline in the last decade.
Boop.
It's not even a word.
It has to enter the Oxford Dictionary from now on.
Take note of that. Pop, pop. I don't know how you're going to spell that. K-P-O-K. Pop, pop. Mm-hmm. A book or resource you recommend for aspiring change makers.
Fighting corruption in Nigeria is dangerous.
By
Nkozi Ojonweiwela.
Okay. If freedom of information were a food, what would it be and why?
Jollof rice.
Why?
20 spice.
Transparency or Wi-Fi? What would you rather live without for a week?
Live without?
Yes. Transparency or
Wi-Fi?
Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi. If Nigeria's budget had a voice, what do you think it would sound like?
Mine.
Your voice.
Yeah. That one entered. Okay, so you just caught a corrupt official with their hands in the cookie jar. What snack would they be stealing?
Chewing gum.
Yeah.
Someone like Chin Chin.
Yeah, I thought it was cookie actually.
You know,
It was cookie jar.
Chin is a cookie now.
Or is it
Nigerian
We have
cookie.
started. Okay, a few more to go. If you could name a Nollywood movie after Nigerian procurement processes, what would it be called?
I can't remember.
Okay,
Bling Nigerians.
move. You're made president for 1 hour. What law are you signing immediately? No questions asked.
There are lots of laws now on his
They have
table.
to pick on.
Budget tracking, app or
I
spreadsheet?
thought you talk about the judiciary.
There are many on my priority list for him.
I knew there were plenty. That's why we put it there. Okay, budget tracking, app or spreadsheet?
How?
App, application or
App,
spreadsheet?
app.
Okay, good. Procurement process, drama or documentary?
Documentary.
If you had to teach this last one, if you had to teach a 1-day class on anything, what would it be?
Nigeria.
Okay, on Nigeria.
I love it.
Our class will be very deep
Very
and
interesting.
very intense. Well, again, we must say a big thank you to our guests, Lucy James Abagi, for coming through. And of course, while you sign out, you could also mention out the names of the donors
Who have been-
making your work, exciting and doable.
Yeah, so I'll mention current donor, a few of some other donors that supported us. So I work on procurement governance. The last more than 6 years has been sponsored by the MacArthur Foundation, graciously. And our current work on access to justice is funded by the United States Bureau of International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Affairs, INL. And in the past, Luminate has funded us.
Yeah.
They provide us flexible funding. We've also had funding from Google on our digital governance work.
Yeah.
We've also had funding from Trust Africa.
Yeah.
We have funding from OSIWA, that's Open Society Foundation for West Africa.
West Africa.
Yeah. We've also had funding from SAGE, United States SAGE. It's a program called SAGE. Those are the few ones that comes to my head readily. But just to say that currently PPDC is looking at how best to sustain our work. In fact, that's like my mandate as CEO now. How best to sustain our work beyond donor funding.
Donor funding.
Whether there's donor funding or not, can we still maintain the work that we are doing? Can we still reach more communities? Can we impact the procurement governance space? Can we still impact judiciary space? Can we still impact access to internet, where we have more children accessing internet safely, interfacing with? Can we also affect the job creation industry via home vida? So we are looking at creative ways to rejig our programming and re-strategize our implementation and ensure that it's well-sustaining and self-sustaining beyond donor funding. So we are doing a lot of things at the moment. We are in tech, Devon Technology have been registered. We're also doing capacity building for MDAs, and they have to pay for it. So we have another company called Pivotal Development. We also have the event management components, and that's we call it development endeavors, and then Onvida going to films and movies. So we are scaling most of this initiative to see how we can drive our work. We're also into logistics. Yeah, we're also into
To ensure the work doesn't die.
So we are pushing for more ends, because what we want to see is the next few years, 2-3 years, is to see a way where we approach donors, not to say we want to digitize all the courts. We need $2 million. We want to approach and say we want to test all the courts. We have $1 million. We need $1 million. We want that paradigm to change beyond us going to say this is what we want. We want to say this is what we want to do.
We already have this.
Table. We want you to come into this partnership for us to scale the work. Because our plan is to ensure that the next 2-3 years we get all the courts digitized at least,
Fully
and we
digitized.
get all the MDAs, all the states sign up to our OCDS portal, where they can be able to make information available on procurement.
So you do have your work cut out for you.
Yeah, a lot.
All right.
It has been a long day, but a very exciting one here on episode 1, season 2 of Development Now podcast. A very big thank you to our guest, Lucy James Abagi,
Yeah.
PPDC, for coming through. And of course, do like, share, follow, subscribe,
Comment.
talk about the good work PPDC is doing, talk about the good work Development Now is doing. And of course, we'll catch you on the next episode.